Ready for another deep dive? Today we're tackling a pretty big one, actually.
Oh, let's hear it.
Love.
Love. Well, that's certainly a broad topic.
It is. But we're going to try and cover, well, as much as we can. We're looking at love in art, literature, really, everywhere.
Love is a universal theme kind of thing.
Exactly. And to guide us, we've got this really interesting podcast script called Love. It's from a show, Learn English Today.
Okay, interesting. So English, language learning, and love, what's the connection?
Right, that's what I thought too. But it uses language learning as a way to look at the nuances of love.
Ah, I see. So not just what we feel, but how we talk about it, how we express it across cultures.
Yeah. Okay, so the script starts with a vocabulary spotlight. It gives you all these key words and phrases to help you, talk about love in English.
Okay, like what? Give me some examples.
Well, there's the basics. Affection, soulmate, admire, commitment.
Right, pretty standard stuff.
Yeah. But then we get to some of the good stuff, phrases like love at first sight and head over heels.
Ooh, now those are interesting. They're packed with cultural assumptions about love.
Yeah, like love at first sight. Is that a real thing or just a fantasy?
Right. Does everyone believe in it? Or is it more common in certain cultures?
And how does that compare to cultures where, say, arranged marriages are more common?
Exactly. Maybe in those cultures, the focus is more on building a strong foundation over time, compatibility, shared values, that kind of thing.
So the way we talk about love might actually reflect, our deeper cultural beliefs.
Yeah.
Okay, what about head over heels?
Oh, I love that one. It's so vivid, so dramatic. It really captures that feeling of being completely swept up in love.
Yeah, totally. Like you've lost all control.
It's funny, actually, when you compare it to similar phrases in other languages.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, in Italian, they say to lose your head. The French use to have a thunderbolt. And the Japanese describe it as falling into a bottomless swamp.
A bottomless swamp. Wow. Okay. That's pretty intense, but I guess it gets the point across, right?
It does. That feeling of being completely overwhelmed by emotion. It makes you think, doesn't it, about all the different ways we show love.
Yeah, and the script even talks about that, like how some cultures are more open about showing affection, while others express it more through actions.
That's interesting. I wonder what factors contribute to those differences.
Right, are there historical reasons, societal norms, or even maybe something about the structure of the language itself?
It's really making me think about my own culture and how we express love. How about you?
Me too. And that's actually what the script asks the listener. How do you, dear listener, show love in your culture?
It's a great question to consider, isn't it?
It is. Really makes you think about your own love language,
Absolutely. Are you all about grand gestures? Or do you prefer quiet acts of service, words of affirmation, or quality time?
It's a good reminder that love can be expressed in so many different ways. And speaking of expressing love, the script includes this really touching story called The Lost Necklace. Have you read it?
I have. It's about this young man, Liam, who's totally in love with Emily.
Right. Head over heels.
Exactly. But Liam's not a rich guy, so he can't shower Emily with expensive gifts.
So what happens?
Well, Emily loses this necklace, a really special one, an heirloom, and even though Liam can't replace it, he does everything he can to comfort her.
Oh yeah, I remember this part. He works extra shifts, saves up every penny, and finally manages to buy her a similar necklace.
Exactly. It might not be the exact same, but it shows just how much he cares.
Right. It's not about the money, it's the thoughts, the effort.
The story's really about the true nature of love. It's about those small, everyday actions that show you care, even if you're not the most verbally expressive person.
It makes you wonder if maybe Liam and Emily's story is an example of love at first sight, after all. Maybe those initial feelings aren't always the most important thing.
You're right. Maybe it's those consistent actions, those little ways we show up for each other that really reveal the depth of love.
So even if Liam's culture isn't big on grand declarations of love, his actions speak volumes about how he feels about Emily.
And that ties back to what we were talking about earlier about how understanding cultural differences is so important.
Totally. It's like learning any new language. You have to be willing to immerse yourself in the culture. Pay attention to the subtle cues, the unspoken things.
It's like we're all love anthropologists in a way.
Trying to decode this beautiful, complex language of love.
Exactly. It's amazing, isn't it? All the ways we try to express this thing called love.
Yeah, across languages, across cultures. It makes you wonder, how much gets lost in translation?
Oh, definitely. And it's not just romantic love either, this idea of love as a language. It applies to, all kinds of love. family, friends, even ourselves.
Oh, self-love. That's a big one, right? So important, but we often forget about it.
We do. It's like that saying, what is it? You can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah, exactly. Got to fill yourself up first before you can give to others.
Yeah.
But how does that connect back to language?
Well, think about it. The words we use when we talk to ourselves, the stories we tell ourselves about, who we are, what we can do.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Those inner voices, they can build us up or tear us down. It's like we're writing our own, internal love stories?
I like that. Our own love stories. And hopefully they're good ones.
Yeah.
Full of kindness and acceptance.
Right. A healthy dose of self-compassion. Because when we're kind to ourselves, it shows. It affects how we treat everyone else.
It's true. Our actions speak louder than words, as they say.
And just like Liam's actions showed how he felt about Emily, our actions towards ourselves, well, they say a lot about how much we value, ourselves.
I get that.
Setting boundaries, going after the things that light us up, even just giving ourselves permission to, rest.
It's all self-care, self-love. It's like sending ourselves love letters through those actions, I guess.
Exactly. And just like those stories we were talking about, those actions, they can help us connect with others on a deeper level, even across cultures.
It all comes back to love and language, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like how they work together to shape how we see ourselves, our relationships, the whole world, really.
A beautiful tapestry, you could say.
This whole deep dive has been, wow, really insightful. It's making me see love and language differently. Like they're not separate things at all.
Two sides of the same coin, maybe? Both essential for us to, connect as human beings.
Totally. It's a lifelong journey though, right? Learning about love, exploring it, expanding, what it means to us.
It is. And it starts with, I think, being curious, being open to learning about how other people experience love, even if it's totally different from our own way.
Okay, so being open-minded is key.
Yeah.
Before we finish up, I want to ask you, dear listener, what are your thoughts? What's standing out to you from all this talk about love and language?
What insights are you taking away? What questions are popping up in your mind?
We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment, send us a message, whatever works for you. But for now, just to leave you with something to think about, we were talking about love as this universal language, right?
Right.
But if it's so universal, how do we actually get better at speaking it, understanding it, especially across cultures?
It's a great question. And I think it starts with, just being curious.
Curious.
Yeah. Like being open to learning about how different cultures see love, even if it seems, strange to us at first.
So challenging our own ideas about what love should be.
Exactly. We can read books from other cultures, watch foreign films, travel, just expose ourselves to different ways of thinking about love.
But it's not just about passively taking it all in, right?
No, it's about actually trying to connect with people from those cultures, having conversations, building relationships.
Get out of our comfort zones a bit.
Exactly. And being willing to be vulnerable, to mess up sometimes.
Because we're all going to make mistakes, right? It's like learning any new language.
Exactly. You're going to stumble. You're going to say the wrong thing sometimes. But the important thing is to keep trying, keep learning.
Keep that open mind.
And as we get better at understanding this language of love, we not only make our own lives richer, but we also help to create a more compassionate world.
Wow, that's powerful.
Imagine if we could all just, communicate our love a little bit better across all those cultural and language barriers.
What a beautiful thought. Well, this has been amazing. Exploring love through language, it's been eye-opening, really.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah.
And keep exploring, keep connecting, keep loving.